Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Blue Abroad Show here in our amazing studio. Thanks to Shad Watson and Assertive Media. It's a funky time to be alive as a footy fan, and I guess just as any sport fan or anyone really living for that matter. Dan, welcome to you, mate.
Hey, up. How are we doing? You right?
What is going on?
End of the world, isn't it? Hey.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. This is. I mean, look, I've been looking forward to this tonight because I love talking Carlton, but also I think it's going to be an hour where we can, we will acknowledge what's happening in the world, but it's also an important time for us to focus on something other than what we've been consuming for, the last 24, 48 hours or even more. It's just a constant flow of information.
Oh, it's a lot. And I think this has just proven as well maybe some of the dangers of the social media world, because suddenly we're very connected and we can talk about these controversial things very easy, spread messages.
Yeah, everyone's got an opinion, obviously, and everyone has access to getting their opinion out. And then the one thing I want to stress here is whatever he said tonight is, we're not researchers, we're not experts. The only real source of information you should be researching and educating yourself from is probably, the World Health Organization website. There are heaps of papers and whatnot that you can research. And I think that's the key message. Educate yourself on what you need to do to stay safe.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. One of the schools got closed down yesterday, and it was a doctored PDF in Pakenham, which was good fun.
Yeah. With that, obviously, want to take a moment to acknowledge everyone who is being affected by what's going on. I think the worst of it is definitely yet to come. Economically, we're going to feel the pinch. Our elderly, our grandparents are the ones that are most at risk. So, there are a range of different things. Everyone's going to take a hit. So obviously, on behalf of Dan and I and everyone at Blue Abroad, let's try and make this hour as positive and as much of a relief as we can as we try and normalize this situation.
Oh, 100%. I think we've got to remember as well, as a people, Australians, beautiful people. You think 3 months ago when we helped everyone in the fires, it's that spirit again needs to come out from all of us, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start off with what we now know, because it does change by the hour, it seems. And only, 45 minutes ago, half an hour ago, Gil McLachlan made an official statement on the season in that we're going to have a 17-game season, and there wasn't really a confirmation on whether round one would still go ahead. It seems like they're going to try their best.
Yeah, all he confirmed is he's doing a press conference tomorrow.
Yeah, it was basically, yeah. What was the other one? The state leagues.
Yeah, the state leagues, unfortunately, they've been canned.
Yeah. So that's obviously a bummer as well. It just seems interesting that the state leagues would be definitely cancelled, but the AFL would go ahead.
I would have said that's just money revenue.
Yeah.
I'd say that's the ties with the TV contracts and stuff.
For sure. And look, I understand people are getting a little bit on their toes about, it's a revenue chasing thing. You're chasing the dollar. Stop letting the dollar, dictate how you act. But the reality is, for a league like ours, and you look at the NRL as well, I think I was listening this morning on the radio, 14 of the 16 NRL teams are not profitable.
Yeah, so evidently it's going to cost every team $1 million round one by just not having people at the ground.
Yeah.
So you think that's a large chunk?
Yeah, for sure.
Chunk.
So I can understand what they're trying to do in trying to salvage the season. But, you looked at the scare this morning, and for those who haven't heard the news, Scott Pendlebury was tested negative for COVID-19, which is a huge relief, because you just feel like as soon as one player potentially, touch wood, tests positive, that's it.
Oh, you would have said, looking at all the other sports, as soon as one sports star has tested positive, it's been canned very quickly.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert, what an idiot.
You know what? Kind of poetic justice, though, that he was the first to get it, I think, because he mocked it, and karma seems to work in mysterious ways.
He was probably a representative of how we all felt at the time, though, because at that point in time, there was a lot of, and I was probably in the same boat, like, I don't know how serious this really is. And within a matter of 24 hours, bang. So, yeah, I like the fact that they've reduced the number of the players that can train together. I think Port Adelaide have started doing that. They're doing it in blocks of 10. And look, as of right now, we're going to preview round one as if it's going ahead, because we haven't been told otherwise. So let's get excited.
I think 17 games, though, is exciting anyway. Yeah. I think because there's going to be no one playing weaker teams twice. It's going to be really the best of the bunch after one game. And I actually think that's how the season should be played anyway, personally. either play each other twice or play each other once. I think to create equilibrium.
Yeah. It's the fixture that people have been talking about for a while, isn't it?
Well, I mean, Dangerfield gets what he wants. He doesn't have to work as hard all year. So, I mean, he reckons the quality of football is going to increase. So let's hope we get to see that.
Yep. For those of you just joining us, welcome. Welcome to our new studio. This is all set up thanks to our friend Shad from Assertive Media. So I think the link to his page is in the description. So please give him a like, give him a follow. Anybody who's interested in video production services, look at the space that we've got here. This is fantastic. So this is our home every Monday, thanks to Shad. What are your thoughts? Tell us in the comments below. I've got them here on the laptop. What do you think about the 17-game fixture? Are you happy with it? Are you not happy with it? I'll pose the question to you and obviously to the audience as well. Do you think the season should actually go ahead on Thursday or not? Dan? Put you on the spot, but
I think part of me wants it to go ahead purely from a selfish aesthetic that having the kids home this week, I've had to spend time with my family. So they seem like nice people, but I miss sport. But no, I mean, I think there's an argument to be had that we have got to start trying to safeguard this because there is a lot of vulnerable people. I know at work the other day, we had people in and they explained the ramifications, how contagious it is. So, I mean, I can see the justice of it not being on. I'd rather us play the games when we know that we're going to get a continual season. For me, I think just as a fan, it's going to be quite disappointing if we get a game and then, like the NRL looks like, it's going to be canned. The next week, you kind of get into it. You want to just get into it and get it out of the way with.
Yep.
So, I mean, I hope it's played Thursday, but I think my heart of hearts tells me it won't. I think maybe that's the right thing to do at this stage.
yeah, I agree. Obviously, we both watch as much sport as possible. I'm a big fan of the NBA, so I obviously was following that situation closely. And NBA Twitter with guys like Woj, you get the information straight away. And just following how that league shut down and how all the other leagues shut down, it's hard for me to see how they'll actually play on Thursday. If they get it done, great. There is maybe the saving grace of maybe because we're in Australia, we're isolated from the rest of the world. Maybe they've got some advice that is telling them that they can play on Thursday. But I think, like we said before, it's such a situation where if one player was to test positive, that's it. I think Gil said that the team would have to go into, or the round would be cancelled immediately if a player was to test positive. And to have a situation like that, as much as I want round one to happen, and we all do, I would think that it probably shouldn't go ahead just yet.
I mean, it'd be quality, though, from a Carlton perspective, if we could get a 4 or 5 week extension, McKay and Betts back.
Yeah. From a selfish point of view, yeah. Well, it would put Betts back in the frame. It would put McGovern definitely in the frame. And Harry would probably be there or thereabouts.
It's just a shame. Charlie, imagine that. How good would that be if it postponed and we got all 3 of them back?
Imagine the season is compromised in a way that allows all of our players to get fit, and then we play finals, win a flag, get the asterisk next to our name, but we'll take it.
Yeah, like an England World Cup final type job where we won it, but we didn't quite win it.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
No, I agree. What about for the players? I mean, because there's an issue with the younger players who maybe don't get paid as much and aren't in as comfortable a situation as the senior players. And obviously, I don't want to pick out one group because everyone's suffering, but it seems like from the reports that we've got, I mean, the players are doing a survey, but it seems like these younger players, they're the ones that are probably most at risk. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I know following the situation in the UK, we've had quite a few of the 21 to 30s have contracted it and been quite ill from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that's a concern that it's not just an old person's disease, as we were first thinking. Obviously, a lot of them have got young families, newborn babies as well, and we know newborn babies are vulnerable. So, I mean, for me personally, I kind of hope they don't play it. I think the ones that I worry about, though, were the kids in the last year of their contract. Like the young draftees from 2 years ago who maybe are on the precipice of the team. It kind of takes away their opportunity to showcase what they can do. So players like that kind of worries me because if the season does get postponed, what happens with them? They might not have a year to showcase their skills and show value.
Yeah.
So it'd be worrying time for a footballer because, I mean, they've got a lot of things to worry about.
Yeah. So, and they've only got for the most part, and it's a common problem that you hear about in the industry. A lot of them are just good at football. And they haven't really got those outside skills, which in a way, this will probably force a lot of people to look outside the realm of what they're capable of and try and learn new skills. You're going to have to.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like other players you feel sorry for is people like Chozza as well. Got delisted by Carlton last year. and signs with Box Hill Hawks, and then they cancel the season. Like, there's a great opportunity then to put himself back on the radar of AFL.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if they're going to expand the list. They're still talking about that. So, I mean, like someone like Chozzy, he would probably appreciate a couple of games to put himself right back in that frame and stuff. So, I mean, it's going to be a weird one. I mean, it's a weird season, but I mean, it's exciting. It is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm raring to go. Whenever we get it back, I cannot wait for footy to start.
Either way, I feel like what will happen is whenever the season is back to normal in terms of the fans being able to go again, can you imagine, you know, we've been built up all the way up until the second last week of the season, only for it to be in the situation that it is now. Imagine when we can go back and everything goes back to normal.
Oh, 100%.
The energy is just going to elevate more than what it already is.
A couple of good friends work at Ellenwood Road at Leeds, and they're saying that they're inundated with requests for when the league starts, like people trying to reserve tickets for the next fixture. So the excitement builds. Basic economy, supply and demand. So you'd imagine now that the first couple of rounds, when we can come back, they are going to be legit heaving. So, I mean, it probably makes sense for me to try and play the games as soon as possible, as soon as we can get some crowds in as well. I mean, watching NBL, it was weird watching no people there.
Yeah.
It's something just kind of changes. And footy, the noise, particularly from the cheer squad, it makes it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's we just mentioned it before, but with Richmond, no Tiger Army, no flag revealing, you know, it probably tips the odds back in our favour.
I think knowing Nick Wishart and his mates, they make quite a lot of noise.
No, they do. The
Tiger
cheer squad
Army,
do. But being a Richmond home game,
well, it would be sweet, wouldn't it, just to beat them when they unveiled the flag?
Imagine beating Richmond on Thursday and then Friday afternoon they say, sorry guys, season suspended, and then we're the only team with the win.
And then just imagine like
just giving
6 months later they have to cancel the season, and then we do a Liverpool and win it by default.
I love it. Moving on. Let's talk about some footy that was actually played, and that was our AFLW side. An amazing win against the D's. It could be the last game of footy we watch for a while. We don't know yet, but the way that we grit for 4 quarters and the way that we just keep at it and the spirit that they play with is so enjoyable to watch. What did you make of the game?
I think for me, I alluded to it in the AFLW video, and that's with this game plan. It's very similar to how Teague's trying to get the boys to play a very direct, very quick transitional game. And one thing I've noticed about the girls is every week they've started to believe in this system. You can see that they believe more importantly in each other. There's a faith that we can dig ourselves out of the toughest holes. And what really impressed me about the third quarter was you could see there was a dedicated plan B to plan A. And then they went back to plan A once the plan B had got them back in the game. And for me, that's what we've got to look forward to as Carlton fans of the men's team as well. When they start to believe in the system, how good is it to see Carlton leading the way with an expansive football? And that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. But I mean, the girls, credit to them. They do it the hard way. It's exciting to watch. And it's great, isn't it? I mean, Melbourne had no mugs in this game, and it was great to see.
Yeah.
Just a shame to break Daisy Pearce's heart. Big fan of Daisy.
Not really.
Big fan of her.
So many outstanding plays. I mean, they were all good across the board. Even if you look at players like Karen Harrington, who just copped a whack. It seemed like every time she came on the field, she was injured or hurt, and the way she just soldiered on. I thought Laloifi, you copped a bit of stick for how you pronounced her name, but I thought she was fantastic and just solid in defense. And what pick did she go? I feel like she was in the 40s.
Yeah, it was like 43, wasn't it?
She's
39,
a steal.
She's good, yeah.
Solid in the one-on-one contest, solid in the air. She took those intercept marks.
When we covered her in the AFLW draft, that was one of the things that she could potentially be an X factor. She's got all the necessary skills. So, I mean, she's a wonderful footballer.
She's just getting better every week.
Her and Harrington, like, to me, they're like the McGovern-Hearn combo at West Coast. Like, you've got Harrington, the most underrated back in the comp, I think. For me, she's the best key defender in the comp. The ability to intercept mark and read the play is great. And then she can just take it on as well. Both of them can take it on. So for me, it's a phenomenal backline they've built.
Yeah, loved what she did. I mean, it wouldn't be an AFLW recap for Carlton if we didn't mention
Prosparkis.
She's
a little bit good, isn't she?
She's got, I noticed her footwork, the way she pitter-patters to gather herself some space to execute the kick. Reminds me a little bit of how Mark Murphy pitter-patters his feet.
I knew you were going to say
any excuse to bring up Murph. But she's something else.
Taya Prasparkis, she's gone from rising star to probably the star of the competition within a year.
Yeah.
I always like to correlate her and Sam Walsh because they both had high billing and they both play a similar style of game. And I can see Walsh, he needs to watch Maddie because this is what's possible if you, in a weak side. You've got to remember when Maddie joined Carlton, we were one of the weakest AFLW sides. She's been one of the catalysts to make them a competitor. Walsh sees that opportunity as well. The Carlton fans draw to you. And like Prasparkis, for me, she's another level.
Oh, my God.
Like, we are witnessing a lady that in 10 years' time, we will say is the Billie Jean King of AFLW.
100%.
She moved it to an equality environment where the women's game is looked upon as the men's game. And it's exciting to see. Pioneer.
Who is the face of the AFLW side for us?
I think probably Taylor.
It's probably Taylor
Still?
Harris. I would argue, and put this out to you out there, I would argue that Prasparkis is the face of the club.
I think for me,
Taylor's obviously,
she's a
an
superstar.
amazing athlete, and what she does, not just for footy, but for women's sport, and what is amazing.
dual athlete, yeah.
But for the club, I just look at Prasparkis. Like, Maddie is the one. That's the one I'm watching week in, week out. She's the first one I look out for.
Oh, she moves so well. I think she's got everything you look for in a footballer as well. She can tackle. She can bring players in. She can kick snags. She's added that to her game this year as well. Her ability to penetrate inside 50. For me, she's a super exciting talent. Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of girls though who deserve to be the face of the footy. There's a lot of talented women in all teams, but we are fortunate. We've got loads.
Yep, for sure. We lock ourselves in the top 3. Have we locked in a final spot? Is it clinched? Probably not. It's just about.
We've got a tough run home though. We got the Freo and I believe the Eagles.
The Eagles as well.
But we'll battle the Eagles.
Or we should.
And we'll batter Freo as well.
Yep.
Not even a real team.
Righto. Moving along. Let's do it. It's round 1. It's finally here. Thursday night. No crowd. Where do we start? I'm going to start with a little bit of something I'm worried about, and I spoke about it in my season preview. It's the covering of the forward line. When for the most part, 4 of our first choice forwards are either not going to play or under an injury cloud. I think Mitch McGovern's the only one that might play. It's just a worry for me. I'm so excited. I have been for round 1, as we all have, but just the dampener of knowing this forward line can't function at its best without, most of those guys in there. And Eddie, for me, was probably the last straw where I was like, because at least he's got, a forward presence. He can direct on the field, create something from nothing. So I'm a little bit worried in that sense. What is your read? And for you at home, what is your read on the game? We'll get some of the comments up here as well.
Well, I think my first thing was I noticed why I deleted the push notifications off the Carlton app last year, because you get that text and it says Carlton news, and I suddenly saw that horrible injury news, and then you click it and you're like, please don't be someone good. Oh, it's bets.
Yep.
It's going to be tougher without bets because we do know that small forwards are one of the keys to unlocking the Richmond backline. And also height has had success against it, and we're kind of significantly lacking now on both. However, it is a great opportunity for someone to step up and make a name for themselves. And quite often, all a 3rd, 4th year player needs is that game. And what bigger stage? Thursday night, MCG, to do it against the old enemy Richmond.
Yeah.
So some of these fringe players, some of these players that there's question marks where they can go.
Yeah.
Will they get better? Your Patrick Dowells, your Zach Fishers, the ones that divide the Carlton fraternity, is the opportunity to step up and make a name for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I've got no issue with our defense. Like, Jacob Wiedering is going to go to Lynch. We know Liam Jones will go to Jack Revolt. That's just the way it's been for a while. We now know that Jacob Wiedering is our number 1 defender, and he takes the best forward. There's no secret there. And in terms of the rest of our back line, I've got no issues with it. In terms of who's going to play, we've got options. There's going to be an unlucky guy to miss out. Let's touch on that. For you in defence, who is going to be the unlucky one?
If I was picking the team for Thursday, I would go Willow, Wiedering, Simpson, Doc, Jones, and Plowman.
With Newman maybe on the bench.
Newman on the pine,
Newman on the bench.
Rotating in.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Just think Willow adds something. He had a very good VFL game.
Yeah, I think you've got to get him in. I also understand the argument of playing him through the VFL, getting some more touch through him because he didn't play in that last Marsh game. But his preseason, he doesn't look like he's been hampered by anything. So that's what I'm saying. The defense for me, is not a worry at all.
No, 100%.
The midfield battle, if they're all available, I mean, if Fisher and Samo are available, which I think they both will be, Samo's
a lock.
Is he?
I'd throw him in, yeah, man. You've got to beat Richmond. You need classy ball use, and you need quick transition. And him, Willow suit that bill as well. They both take the game on very clean. You also need that muscle of Satterfield, Cripper, Walsh.
Yeah, I agree. I think our defense will definitely sort of make it a nil or draw, if you will, or win, get on top. The midfield battle, you got to go with Richmond. Just, you got to give them the respect that they're earned. It's once we get to that forward line. But having said that, you've had a look at how we can beat Richmond. What is the template to beating Richmond?
Template to beat Richmond, there's two methods we know of are successful, and the one that I think we'll utilise is you play Richmond's game. Quick ball movement, high pressure, high risk. It comes with a great consequence that is Richmond's bread and butter to batter you. But if you can get on top, Collingwood have shown it. GWS and Geelong showed it last year as well, that you can win doing that way.
Yeah.
The only other option is the worrying option. That's West Coast option of patience. And you switch it. You play a lot of switches in your back line, but that runs a risk. They are the biggest scoring team from forward pressure acts. So you can play cat and mouse with them. But I think the game plan has got to be direct, quick ball movement and play into their hands, but just back yourselves. And I think it would be a great test for the young boys.
I would assume that Jack will definitely play. Cunningham will definitely play. I mean, in his forward line. Kennedy might now be a recall. We know Jack Martin will be there. Levi Casbolt all of a sudden becomes one of the more valuable guys and more important guys from a we can't afford to lose you standpoint.
It's funny, the forwards that generally have good effort, if you watch Richmond, they're not a very strong marking side down back. They prefer to go for spoils and play the ball off the deck and move it quickly. So a player I think has got a great shout, just for his ability to play on the ground and be tall and mark, is TDK.
Yep.
Very efficient on the ground with Levi. I like that combination that we do go with three talls, with McGovern as well.
I've turned on him.
McGovern?
No, on TDK.
You turned on him?
As in, pre-season I've been saying he's not ready. He's not ready. He can't play.
I'll see what you mean.
I've completely turned. I'm in. I'm all in.
I don't think he's ready to be a full-time ruckman. I think that's what I don't think we expected him to be this ferocious as a forward.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. I think he offers a dynamic that probably is going to free up another forward.
Yep.
He's going to be a tricky customer.
Yeah.
So I like it. I think we do go with them three tall type players that we know that Carlton like to play.
Mitch, Levi, and TDK. And you're right. That's a good point because we know that we want to play a three tall system.
Yep. So whether you like it or not, that is the plan.
That's what Teague wants. So I'm totally all in on Tom De Koning coming in.
And what I like about that is it gives us a bit of options to give TDK some A-grade ruck work as well, that he can pinch it.
Mm-hmm.
Casbolt also, it gives us the option that he can pinch it in the ruck and he also can go down the back, because Casbolt statistically would be the best intercept marker in the comp if he played down the back.
Yeah.
So for me, it also gives us that extra option. If Lynch does get a bit on top, their entries do get a bit good, you can shift him down back, give Jones and Wheaters a rest. Well, gives you so many options having Levi there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is Toby Nankervis is under an injury cloud. He missed out on that last VFL practice game for Richmond.
Yeah, I believe it's 50-50 in playing round one. But
yeah.
I reckon Soldo's locked in anyway. He looks good season form.
I'd be more than happy for Tom De Koning to come up against a Soldo in the ruck than what I would some of these premier ruckmen.
Well, I mean, I always think as well, when you've got these pinch hit ruckmen, use him a little bit like Tim English a couple of years ago, and that's like pinch hit him against their pinch hitters. So like he could come up against Tom Lynch. TDK, it'd be a good battle because we know Tom Lynch's ruckcraft ain't that sharp. Mm-hmm. So it's a good little, just to get him the taste of what's involved.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it's exciting times. I reckon we're more than a chance. I know that a lot of people are a bit negative at the moment. But
I'm definitely a bit negative at the moment.
I'm not. Come on, boys.
I'm excited. I know there's potential, but
we can do it. We've got enough. If we play our A-grade footy, we have a chance.
Yeah.
All we've got to do,
of course,
is it's all about clinging in against Richmond. You know it's going to be a seesaw game.
Yep.
Just stick together, believe in the game plan, because the game plan Teague's got can beat Richmond.
Agreed.
It's just sticking to it and executing.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, we've got no McKay, we've got no Betts. But it's time for someone to step up, and that's what we keep saying. For us to get better, someone has to step up.
Who's it going to be?
I reckon Zach Walsh will have Zach Fisher, Zach Walsh.
Imagine Zach Walsh as a thing.
Imagine Fisher and Walsh have a kid. Let's do it. No, I reckon Zach Fisher, he's going to tear it up.
Yep.
The boys are, and I reckon Jack Martin.
Yeah, I agree.
Is going to be killing it in Eddie Betts' absence.
Yep. A few comments coming through here that I can see. Debbie O'Connor. Good evening to you, Deb.
Good evening, Deb.
She says she thinks that she saw rain on the forecast for Thursday night. That would probably suit Richmond and their game style, but also with us with no, I don't know who does it. It does suit Richmond. It's their bread and butter. They move the ball well.
Us last year in the wet, you saw what Richmond do. They are very proficient at the game style.
Mm-hmm.
It would always be important about us. We tried to be too cute in that wet game, and I do think traditionally when we play in wet, we get too cute. Where to me, we have to start playing wet weather footy. But I mean, I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Bogos Paul as Marion.
Oh yeah.
Says he thinks to give Tom De Koning a go this Thursday. Time to see if he can compete up forward without Harry and Charlie there. I like it. Kano's asking us, does Callum Moore play round one?
No.
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, he's had a compromised preseason for one. I also haven't really seen much of him to suggest that he's going to be playing ahead of someone like a Tom De Koning. I think I'd rather have Tom playing than Callum. I'm a little bit torn with the Callum Moore decision, only because I haven't watched what he can do. It was more of a need for us, wasn't it? Like he'll play as a forward, from what I understand.
I think he just gives us that option, doesn't he? I mean, I think the one thing we are kind of light back is a key defender down back.
Yep.
If one of them gets injured, if Wheater and Jones gets injured, Callum Moore there allows, if the injury with McKay keeps reoccurring, to have Moore up front and then Levi shifts back down back. So for me, I can't see it. I can't see Callum Moore debuting round one.
Yep. Pecco Train says coronavirus will be a distraction. Distractions generally go against less experienced teams, which is us. However, he thinks that Russell will have us primed. We will win contested footy, and we just need to convert.
Oh, literally, we've got the preview coming out later this week. Should we play statistically with the analytics of how Richmond play? That is one of the big things. They are a very poor contested team. It's something that Richmond struggle with, and they have brought the new wave style of contested footy. Don't mean anything, but teams who get first use and capitalise do very well against Richmond. But it's a high risk, high reward game, so that's why I'm saying this is a great game for the young kids. Because someone has to step up to beat them.
100%. And sometimes when you're forced to step up, that's where it comes from. You look at that Fremantle game last year. It was forced upon the guys that it wasn't going to be Cripps, it wasn't going to be Charlie, it had to be someone else.
I had a big controversial little opinion the other day with one of my friends, and he was saying that he kind of agreed. When you looked at us against Collingwood, when it was a quiet day, there was no noise, how quickly we concentrate on moving the ball movement. I wonder if it being totally silent, no abuse from opposition fans, just allows them to focus a little bit and gives us an advantage the first couple of rounds of playing just with our own thoughts and hearing guidance from the senior players. That might help the boys, because all they need to do, really, I feel, is get a game where everything goes right.
That's right.
And the girls had it this year where everything just clicked and the belief started to get. That's all we need. And if it happens round one, look out.
I mean, look, the comfort zone will be there, I would assume, if there's no fans and we start kicking 2 or 3 goals in a row, all of a sudden it becomes somewhat like a practice match setting.
Less pressure.
Lining up for goal, less fans, less noise. You're right. It could be a factor. It's so unprecedented. I don't think we've ever had anything like this before.
I love empty football games in soccer. I absolutely love it. It's
Why?
Brilliant. Well, I mean, they brought in a rule. UEFA did when it happened in England with the European games when we all got, because we stabbed a fan.
Okay.
They banned.
You did?
No, I didn't personally, not me. I was not guilty. It was an Arsenal fan who did it. It wasn't me. Could be you though. But no, what happened is that they actually brought in special rules that if you were picked up on the camera and swore, you wouldn't get fined, because you'll be surprised how much you hear without fans talking. It's crazy. So I mean, it'd be I think a great environment to watch footy. Great. I'm excited, especially at the G, because it's got real good acoustics.
No, I agree. Ethan Daffy, good evening to you, mate. He reckons that we won't be playing this week at all. You've heard it first from Ethan.
No, I think the odds to me would say we're not. But
I agree.
I want it to happen.
It's
so close.
It's so like it's easy to get excited, but it's also It's weird.
Me and my father-in-law
It's
were
different.
talking about it, that we've literally been ticking the days off till
Yeah.
Thursday, only to add maybe potentially another 28
Yeah,
days.
this is such a weird, interesting
Don't wanna.
situation. But anyway, we move on.
Sure.
Jonathan Mackay's asking, hey lads, who comes in for Eddie? Is it always Gibbons or someone else?
I think Gibbons is primed to take that job. He looks really good,
For
Gibbons.
sure,
I think
yeah.
he's been working a lot with Eddie, and you see it.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't think Carlton will spring many selection shocks. I reckon SBS will come in. And I reckon Gibbons will just naturally take that.
Is
position.
TDK given to come in? Is he
I
at
don't
that
know.
level? Probably not.
I think he is, because Teague's saying all them right things. He's really put his name
In the mix, yeah.
I reckon that I can't see a massive surprise. Let's put it that way. I can't see like Carlton like bringing in Matty Owies or anything like that.
Yeah, Ethan Daffy, he is the fella from Carlton FC Daily, loving the new setup. I think he wanted a shout out. There you go, Ethan.
I know, oh yeah, Ethan from Insta.
Yes. Carlton FC Daily for those of you on Instagram.
Very good boys who run that channel.
Great
Very
lads,
good.
great lads. Top class content. James Kelly says he loves seeing how far this show has come. Well done to you guys, mate. Thank you.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Thanks to Shad. Thanks to Assertive Media for getting us
Shad.
here. Yeah,
Big Shad. Makes a good coffee as well, Shad.
He sure does. Nicholas Van Roven believes that Cunners will come in for bets. Cunners there's a quiet aura around him all of a sudden. There's like a cloud of uncertainty. Do you feel that, or do you think
it was weird, because Teague mentioned that he wasn't quite ready for first team football.
Yeah.
Which I strongly disagree that he's a midfielder. Everything I see, like when against Fremantle, when he slotted in the forward line, suddenly he looked better.
Yep.
I see him as a forward. I really do. I think he's more forward than he is mid.
Mm-hmm.
I can see what Carlton are looking for, but to me, I think Fisher is the man that Teague needs to look at to do Cunners' job in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Cunners he's just got natural skill. Look at the goals he kicked against Hawthorn. Few players have that goal now, so Cunners has it.
I think further to your point that you said about Samo, like you just need to have those players in to beat Richmond. I think Cunningham is one of those players.
Cunningham, to me, makes goals out of nothing. Look at them goals he kicked against Hawthorn. He had literally nowhere to go on the boundary, and he just has that nous.
Yep.
Few players have that. I'd like him in the squad. If I was picking it, he would definitely be in my starting six if there's no bets.
I agree. Kano wants to know, is Sam Philp a chance? There's obviously more of a chance now than what he probably has been all preseason. I don't know if he can play as a forward.
I don't think he is.
I don't think so.
You could see it was like in the draft profile when me and Dane did the draft, we said he's a very raw project. And you saw that against Freo. He takes the game on, but he needs to learn when to. And turnovers, can't specify this enough, it's all I've talked about for a month. Turnovers, don't do it against Richmond. One team you don't do it against. They have the most turnovers with points acquired to them from the midfield than any other side. Yeah. So the last thing you want to do is put someone who potentially could get caught.
Oh, yeah. No. For sure.
Feed off it.
For sure. All right, let's get a prediction in. Everyone at home, please leave a prediction in the comments below. I'll start. I'm going to say Richmond by 9.
Carlton by 14.
Love it. What about you at home? What are your predictions for the game on Thursday, if it should go ahead? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see what the
I'll
consensus
never tip against the boys.
Yeah, I'll probably.
Teague, if you're watching, 22, all 17 games, I will be backing you in and get 2 out of 17 in the tipping comp. Can't wait.
Yeah. I'm adding something to the agenda.
Ooh.
Which we didn't speak about pre-show, but it's clear obvious.
Can't wait for this.
AFL Evolution 2.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up the singlet. I was gonna say,
are you self-conscious about the singlet?
It's giving me a full-on complex. I tell you, I have to burn it.
No, we love the singlet. But AFL Evolution 2 is coming out. Online gameplay from what we understand. If there's any gamers out there, PS4 tags.
Sick.
Yeah. Send through your game tags. There's got to be a blue abroad.
We're going to do a lot of content now. We're going to do some live streaming. We're going to be like the Ticino and Zeke of
Ticino and Zirinich, yeah. Of
get around it.
Of the AFL Evolution scene. But yeah, no, that's exciting. I've always thought that in order for the game to grow, you need to have a good video game.
Oh, 100%.
You need to.
Especially if you're going to market it to like the US and the POMs. I mean, it's quite interesting. I learned what I know about AFL. I got my first taste by playing AFL Live.
Okay.
And I found that helped me learn the rules and formulate how the game was played.
Yep.
While watching the game. So it's quite funny. It's a good indoctrination to people who haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite exciting times like AFL Evo. I can't wait, man.
Oh my
It's
God.
just a conspiracy theory time with Dan.
Okay.
Right? The AFL announced it was coming out mid-April. And then 2 hours later, they announced there was no fans. What's the prediction that AFL round 1 starts the week of AFLW 2?
We'll have to wait and see.
Imagine if it does. I've unlocked. All I can say is Illuminati confirmed.
Illuminati
If that
confirmed.
happens, you've heard it here first.
Well, there you go. No, I'm excited. I think also if we do end up having a bit of a lockdown, or if there are periods of self-isolation, send your gamer tags through anyway, because if you play 2K20, we're in.
We'll have to get a league going, a Blue Abroad league
Yeah.
for the best Carlton fan at AFLW.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, imagine it. By the way, if you're watching Wicked Witch, the developers, send 2 copies if you want to do it early.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
the season gets panned, we've got nothing to do, so
Mate,
help us out.
live streaming 24/7.
Yeah, I've already said I had to spend time with my family today. They seem like nice people.
Goodness. All right, let's get through to some questions.
Okay, let's go.
I put a poll up on Instagram and asked people to fire through their questions, which we've got quite a few here.
Oh dear.
Okay, this is from Adam Koken 94. What are your realistic expectations of the likes of Cunners, Fisher, and Setterfield? I'll let you start. Let's start with Cunners.
Connors, I suspect that Connors plays 12 games this year, and I would expect him to find a role at Carlton. At the moment, he seems to be shifted around. Is he a mid? Is he a wing? Is he a forward?
It's not alone.
So to me, he's one of them players that I feel his aim this year is to cement a position, so we actually get a better feel of where he is, and the coaching staff do.
Yep. I think Cunningham, I do agree with you. I think by the end of this season, we'll know one way or another where he's going to play. I do think he's going to be a guy that does float between both positions, but I don't see him in the position that I see Fisher, or in that I see Fisher as just a midfielder, whereas I genuinely believe Cunningham is a goal-kicking midfielder. I don't know if Fisher has as many goals in him as what Cunningham does.
Fisher does love running inside 50, doesn't he? And
He
just blazing
does.
one towards the odd sticks.
He does.
I like that.
I look at Fisher as more of a death by 1,000 cuts kind of guy.
I like Fish.
Yeah, we'll love Fish. No,
Gotta love it.
Yeah, he's
Gotta love a bit of Fish.
yeah. Setterfield, is he going to be a wingman? Is he going to be a contested bull this year? Does he solidify that this year
I think
for you?
he solidifies his midfield spot. I really do, because he's got this potential. He's clean. The problem is at times he kind of goes missing. I reckon he's going to gain confidence. He's going to be one of them players that gains confidence, like the girls have when they start to win. You start to see these players that you're like, God, you've got so much potential. Release the potential. And I think Setters, another year, he'll cement it by the end of the year. That will be like, what a pickup.
This one's from Alex Spur. How much of an impact do you think the COVID-19 will have on the game? I'm assuming you're asking about just
huge.
Thursday, or if you're asking about the season, but
Huge. It's
Yeah.
just knocked off, 5-6 rounds.
yeah, for sure.
So huge.
Yeah,
It's
I
short answer.
look, I obviously don't want to be panicking. We want this show to be, a short period in the day where you can not focus on it, but this is not a 2, 3, 4 week thing. This is going to be a couple of month thing.
Yeah, I think that what's more important is that we look that it's only football, and I think we look at the other things that we've got that we take for granted in all this.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, one of the big things I think is how quickly does it spread, because we're so involved with each other,
Yeah.
and we're around each other, and depression is sweeping the world. So imagine if we could use that contact to spread positivity as opposed to fear mongering, because at
Yeah.
the moment that's what we've done.
Pretty much.
It's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah.
like, how humanity is.
Well, it's. I think Josh Jenkins tweeted today. He put things into perspective. The tweet
The
said,
Anzac one.
yeah, well, he was saying our grandparents were asked to go to war,
We're asked to wash
and
our
we're
hands.
asked to go stay home and wash our hands. And I really enjoyed that perspective. This is, for me anyway, this is as big of an event in my lifetime. Obviously, 9/11 was pretty big. That stopped the world, but to some extent, it really, impacted directly the American people and, the families of those affected. Whereas this is just everyone, everywhere in the world. The world has stopped, or it's shifted.
And I think you think it started in one place and how quickly it spread. It just shows you, how humanity works. We're all connected. We're no longer individual little islands anymore. We are one big race of people.
Yeah, of course. Good question. I've got another one here from not even going to try. Instagram handles are the best. Who do you think will be Carlton's most valuable player at the end of the year? Most valuable player.
MVP.
I'm going to start us off. I'm going to say Levi Casbolt. For me, the term valuable is that if you were to take them away,
how much it would affect.
now, Cripps is obviously very valuable to us because we do play differently without him. But knowing what the situation is with Harry and Charlie at the moment, for me, Levi Casbolt is our most valuable player right now?
Samuel Walsh.
Oof.
Sam Walsh. I've got big raps on him.
Yep. You can't replace him. We don't have anyone to replace him.
I reckon Sam Walsh is gonna just break out this year.
Brownlow? Can we just put it out here on record?
Imagine that, Cripper and Walsh 1 and 2 in the Brownlow. And we finish 18th or something.
Well, the season's only playing one game, so there's only one game to go off.
Could do 3 and 2.
Yeah.
No, I reckon Walsh is gonna have a real big year, and I think he's really gonna become that standout of our side.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good question. Blue Kano. This is Kano.
Oh, okay.
Can we play Levi, McGovern, and TDK in the same forward line?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think we can. I think because they like shifting McGovern to the flank, so he's a marking option inside 15. You can see when we've played 2, we've kind of lacked that tall height just on the outskirts of inside 50.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the couple of passages McGovern did well at Brisbane was when he took a mark just outside 50 on the flank. It's where he kind of does his best little work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he can work.
Quentin Daniels has answered the question about the most valuable player. He believes Jacob Wiedering is our most valuable player.
Yeah, great shout.
Good shout.
Great shout.
He said he'll be huge in the back 6. I like it.
What is good, though, is there's different answers. Because if you asked us this in 2018,
yes,
if you didn't say Cripps, you were a loon.
Yeah.
So it's good that we've got good debate about it.
Yep. No, for sure. And again, opening this up to you at home, who is our most valuable player? Let's go again here. This is from Sal. If the game does go ahead, how do you see Doc playing?
Like the first time you hear the Beatles, a magical experience.
A magical experience. Back to normal.
You can see he's already got it there. He's just got ring rust, but the movement is brilliant.
Tell you what, that's probably the other positive. Sorry to cut you off. That's probably the other positive of having no crowds for him. It just normalizes it a little bit more. It gets a bit more of a practice run in a sense. Because obviously when your senses are heightened, the way you move and the way you jump and your perception of your surroundings, it could be affected. So that's a good one there. I like that.
You've got to see, like when GWS play them traditionally, the guy was Zach Williams who took them on.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast, it's Hearn who does the damage.
Yep.
So Doc is in that bracket. He's a good user, gets a lot of the ball. So big game for Doc. If Doc plays well, Carlton win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of him, we've got a few people who've put him as their MVP.
Oh, yeah. You forget about him because we haven't seen him for 2 years.
Yeah, you do forget about him.
Which I hope Richmond are doing at the moment.
We've been harping on about how he changes our game style moving forward and how he reads the play before others.
Hopefully Richmond are doing the same when they're doing their game plan. Just totally forgetting about Doc.
Yeah, well, Tracy Reed and Scott Holiday have both put Doherty as our MVP.
Yeah.
Scott says those spearing passes, huge tick. We don't really have too many players that can do them. Yeah. And Tracy Reed just said Doherty for me. Nice and simple. It is a pretty simple premise.
I think it also improves just the captaincy and leadership because there's now 2 voices on the field as opposed to just one.
Yep.
Takes a lot of pressure off Cripps. He's got to focus now just on playing the game as opposed to carrying the boys.
Yep.
Which he always has to do.
No, it sure does. It sure does. What we're going to do now, we've got about 20 or so minutes to go. We have about 15 players who we haven't done a live preview for.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do. We'll fire through them because some of these names won't take too long to get through. And obviously this will be a bit more of an interactive session with you at home. Before that, Gregor, says, hi, boys. MVP Dark Horse, Caleb Marchbank. We'll show why he is there.
Great shout. He's got all the talent in the world as old Caleb.
He does. Number 31. Now, I've obviously done all these previews, so I'll host a little bit more here and let you talk a little bit more. But Tom Williamson, number 31.
Can't get enough of Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, because for those who were at the Collingwood game, you saw what happens when it goes right for Willow. And Willow is literally a dynamo down the back. And it's just finding that consistency with him, getting a bit of game continuity. I think he really does have the potential to be top 10 in his position in the comp. Mm-hmm. He's just got everything. He takes the game on. He's aggressive to the ball. He's intent. He's kicking. He's equal, like very similar to Doc in the fact it's a penetrating pass. He doesn't float it. So for me, natural successor to Simo there, and I hope he has a great year. Love Simo.
Love Simo. And we love Tom Williamson.
And we love Willow.
We love Willow.
We love the Will.
Jackie Noons, number 32. What realistically is the impact you see him having this year?
I think he just gives you reliability.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is the criticism when I speak to St Kilda fans is he's a 6 out of 10 player. He doesn't go, wow.
Yeah.
He just plays well.
Yeah.
So he's someone that, like in games like where you're going to be held up in the middle, teams like Geelong and Sydney that play kind of a slower game style, he's going to be very prevalent in them because he's always going to just keep the possession going.
Yep.
Problem is, though, is you can't rely on Nunes to win a game, and I think even he'd admit that. He's just a steady worker. So he's great depth, but for me, his depth we've got a lot of.
Yep. He's in a position that's going to be hard to crack into.
I think around the ground, around the training track, the guy's played a lot of games. He knows how to stay fit, be available. I think he's a positive influence for the players.
Yeah, I must say, I do feel the same way. The positive influence on the group, the way, when you have a guy that can run the way he can run, obviously it just lifts training standards when you add him into the mix.
And you don't play all them games unless you're fit.
No, that's right.
So for me, there's something he probably knows about professionalism. So it's something great lesson to teach the kids, the young draftees we got.
We seem to have a few players on the list now who are sort of at this stage in their careers where, they're not first choice players, but there's a platform there to improve. You look at Hugh Goddard, for example. I think Nunes falls into that category as well. Funny that they both played for St Kilda, right?
Up the Saints.
Up the Saints. We love the Saints. Sam Ramsey's next. Young fella. And I've said this about our young kids for the most part. So Ramsey, Philp, Honey, we obviously haven't seen Kemp, but those three that I mentioned, I've seen a moment from each and every single one of them at training, which is probably something I didn't really see last year.
Oh, Ramsey's brilliant. He's more an exciting crop. Like last year with our draftees, probably wasn't as many game-ready draftees outside of Walsh. I just think it looks good because we got Walsh. But Ramsey, if you're drafted on the ability to get a haircut from the barbers, he's number one. What a haircut.
A millennial haircut for a millennial player.
But I'll tell you what, he might look like a poster boy, but he plays the ball like a real man.
Yeah.
He attacks it. He's rough. You see them little sneaky things he did against Collingwood as well. Gets up using his elbows on the back of people.
Yep.
He's got hustle about him. I like him. He's got everything you want.
Big fan of Ramsey. Big fan of what I've seen from Chef.
I reckon he'll play. I like that name. I reckon he'll definitely play minimum of 5 games this year.
5 games?
I reckon he'll play a few games this year.
In the AFL?
Yeah, in the bigs.
Another big pom call.
Oh,
that's huge.
I think I make one every week.
I think you do.
Yeah.
Sam Philp. Just spoke about him, obviously, the explosiveness. He filled a need.
Takes the game on.
Yep. Big shock on draft night, but that's all forgotten about now, isn't it?
Takes the game on, and he's got raw pace. And you look at all the midfielders now, even Sydney, they've drafted. When you watch the Sydney review I did, finally they've injected a bit of pace in Sydney, which is one of the negatives they've had. So for me, every team plays with outside run who are actually quick. They're not pretend quick. He's got all the skills already. You can just see he just needs a little bit of sharpness, a little bit of tweaking.
Yep.
But that pace is a point of difference, which few can contend with. So he's a very, very good footballer.
He's playing on a pretty good guy in Sam Walsh as well, who he comes in and, they're obviously a very similar age. I'm sure they would have lined up against each other at some point in their junior career.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good vision for him to move forward with.
One thing I've noticed about him in training in particular as well, he's very Lockie O'Brien about him, that he kicks, he's got a decent kick on him and he looks to enter 50 early. He doesn't look to run it in.
Right.
And that's something with Betts, McGovern, McKay, they like early ball entries. So he's someone that can get you that quickly with his pace as well. Exciting player.
Yep. Another guy here, number 35, Ed Curnow. We talk about the big names, the Murphys, the Cripps, the Walshes. This guy just gets overlooked over and over again, it seems. He's so important to us as a culture for what he represents, for players who have gone the hard way. The Michael Gibbons stories, for example. Like he is the prototype, player who's gone about it in a way that it was never given to him. And he's taken his opportunity. And every year the question marks come out and every year he answers them.
Oh, he's like the Hoskin
guy.
Twins for the boys. Like without his grit, without his determination, the contest in the centre we'd get destroyed. And one thing that you see about him in the preseason, he contested, I think it was 32 centre bounces.
Yeah.
Coming out the winner 71% of the times. The guy is just a beast. He just stops good players playing, and that's no detriment to him. That's a skill, because one thing he does, if you look at all the taggers in the AFL comp, he doesn't suffer his disposal output from tagging. He can still get 22. While tagging, you look at Matt DeBoer, he goes down to like 12, 11 touches. You look at Dylan Clark at Essendon, he goes down to like 9, 8 touches if he tags. Ed finds a way of stopping you playing and also influencing the game himself. Big fan of Ed.
There's a bit of a notion that I've noticed throughout the forums and some question marks. Do you play Ed as a tagger all year? Do you play Ed as a midfielder all year? Do you put Ed forward because we want to look to the future?
I don't think you ever play him forward.
I totally agree.
I think for me, what he does is he frees up Walsh, he frees up Cripper to work their magic. And for me, he stops. Like, look at the job he did first quarter on Neil. He made Neil look average. Like, everyone was trading Neil out of the Supercoach round quarter one.
I sure did.
So for me, that's what Ed does. But Ed gets the ball. He can get 22 touches, 24. And you look at the injuries to Cripps last year. Who stepped up? Who had like a near record of centre clearances?
Well, he captained the club.
Do you know what I mean? This is something that Ed does. Ed is Carlton.
Ed is Carlton, for sure. He
personifies everything it means to be a blue bagger to me.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got, let's do these three. Let's actually do one. Josh Honey. I've also just realised we're big on Josh Honey.
The boy.
You spoke about him in a draft preview. It was like the 22nd of October or something like that. Maybe even before.
It was just something that Winnie the Pooh had.
I remember it was Josh Honey and Emerson Jekka in that video.
The beast from Albania.
As soon as I saw him train, I saw exactly what you saw.
Oh, mate, he's pure
mercurial, that he's got that spunk. And I've just realised as well, because of the VFL competition obviously being postponed, it's kids like this guy that are probably going to be affected because he's not going to have that game time. We're going to get to Ben Silvani and Finbar O'Dwyer and Fraser Phillips as well. And we just talked about Ramsey and Philp. It's probably these guys that are going to be affected the most because where do they play?
It is, yeah. But I mean, there's a great opportunity now to train with the first team week in, week out.
Yep.
Learn from a craft master in Eddie Betts.
Yep.
So Honey's got all them skills, forward pressure, intensity, never gives up.
Yeah.
Some of the touches he had in that Collingwood game, he's willing to track deep to get the ball as well. He goes looking for the ball. He doesn't wait around for him. So for me, he's someone that could benefit a lot from this break because he's going to work on these craft, playing 24/7 with Betts, with all the top players. So for me, real smoky. I had a big fan of him, was rapt we got him. The Honey Monster, he's going to kill it at Carlton Football Club.
The Honey Monster, I love that.
Kill it.
Can he play when he's at his best? What is he?
I think he's a small forward, maybe the forward pocket. I'd stick him to first, but I could see him rotating on the half forward line. I think going to find the ball. He likes finding the ball. He likes the ball at hand.
Yeah,
has a habit of the spectacular. He looks apart for me. He'll take the game on for you.
Next up, our wingman Ben Silvani.
The B-sauce.
Yes,
Benny.
I must say I've noticed an improvement in his body and a little bit of improvement in his gameplay in match sim during the preseason.
Touched the ball well.
He seems to have the footy now. So, again, this is another guy that's going to be impacted by the VFL ban.
For me, he needs to live with Levi Casbolt.
Pretty much.
Live with him.
I don't know about living with him. They
just eat, sleep, drink.
Yeah, okay.
Help with the baby.
I was thinking like a Jacob Wiedering type, because Jacob's really settled.
No, I just think because Levi is who he could be, that utility, that man who can do a job in the forward line, doing a job in the back line.
Right.
And I think for me, Levi is the consummate professional. He's hard-working endeavour.
Yep.
Learn from him because I think when Levi goes, I agree with you, it creates a hole. There's not many players that can play both ends of the ground.
Yep.
Bezos, it's destiny for him to do it.
Is he? I've only really known him as a defender.
Can you imagine a grand final and old Ben, fullback?
Of course.
Jack, forward pocket. The Silvani brothers.
Of course. Moving on, Finbar O'Dwyer.
Finny.
I'm going to say, look, I look at Honey, I spoke about Philp, I spoke about Sam Ramsey. They've all shown me something. They've had that flash where I've seen something. I haven't seen it from Finbar O'Dwyer yet, and he's been on the list. This will be his second year now. I don't really know what position he plays. Now, is that because of what he's been able to show or not been able to show? For me, I look at him on the list and it's like, where is it going to come from?
I think when we drafted him, I was asked the question because I did actually have the fortune of seeing him play junior footy, and I was kind of shocked when his name came out. But one thing is, it was always going to take a while for him to build up the tank and the body required to play elite level footy.
Okay.
And you can see he's had limited minutes in the VFL. They're really feeding it in.
Yep.
But one thing is when he did play junior football, he knew where the goals are. He is a natural goal kicker.
Okay.
And for me, that's something that it's just a wait and see with him. I think it was a speculative pick. I think Sauce, if he was here, would admit that. It was more done on the rawness, that there was a what if.
Yep.
But, I mean, you can see he's added size. He's slowly getting there. And I think it's now this year is the year that He plays full game time for the VFL when it starts in May.
Mhm.
I mean, he's been given a benefit there. He's got an extra 3 months to put the beef on required for VFL.
True.
So
Very
he
good.
could be one of the players that benefits extra training sessions.
Yep. And so will this kid, number 39, Fraser
The
Phillips.
Phillips dog.
He's just skin and bone at the moment.
Very, very young. You can see he's very young.
Yeah.
Young
Just
kid.
in every aspect.
But handles it well. Got good ball handling.
Yeah.
His kicking's not bad. He's got the skills. He's another player that, for me, this extra 3 months, it's basically pre-season for these VFL boys now.
Yeah.
They get to learn off the best. And it's going to help the main team out because they're going to be literally at the beck and call of the AFL now. They've got nothing else to worry about than training with the AFL boys and giving them match ready. So he's going to learn a lot, and it's going to be a great apprenticeship for both of them.
I like the call that you just made, and it's something I haven't thought about. And we're finding a positive in the situation for these VFL boys.
Always find a positive value.
Well, of course. That's the mantra for life. But the ability to now do put an extra load on their strength training for the next month and put on some more size, that's a kilo or 2 kilos that they would not have been putting on had the season started this week. And that might fast track the O'Dwyers, the Phillips, the Silvanis. So that's a good point.
And now they've got that wonderful thing as well. They've got no games to worry about. All they've got to do is prep the AFL team, the senior list.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to get to work hands-on in game scenarios with a level of competition that's way above VFL.
Yep.
So you imagine, like, if you're a young Ramsey, you're a young Honey, you're going to be learning off Betts, you're going to be learning off Murphy. These players that use it well, understand the game. Every day you're going to be playing with them in match competition as well. It's going to be exciting times for them.
Debbie O'Connor says, if Finbar didn't have red hair, would anyone know him? I'm not knocking him, just asking.
Yeah, I think his name.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a cult hero name.
Oh, mate, there's nothing better than an icon. He's running down the wing, he takes a mark, and everyone's like, Finbar. Well, actually, Stevie is saying Finbar. No one else did.
Pecco Train says that Ben Silvani did well at the end of last year. He had a couple of games forward. Finbar, the most curious selection in years. He looks completely off the pace.
I think Pecco Train has hit the nail on the head. Like, that's why I was a big fan of him. I think he could become the next Levi Casbolt.
Nathan Kalier's just broken me.
What's he say?
Finbar drafted before Pickett and Stack. He will be the better player.
No, he's right. It was one of these things that I thought when there was the question marks about Sydney Stack, and there was rumours he was going to slip. I had him top 20. That time I was shocked we never picked him. Like, some of the picks when he was there, I was like, Stack would have been a dream.
Yeah.
But for me, it is what it is. I think at the time we probably didn't have anyone to nurture him at the club, but I think he'll come anyway because he's Eddie Bates' best mate.
Yep.
Don't worry, he'll be there next year.
Easy done.
Stack to Carlton.
Next up is a guy who you said was better than Tom Papley at the back end of last year, Michael Gibbons.
Statistically, he is.
Statistically,
can't argue with maths. It's one of the constant things.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't.
No.
Look, come on. Tom Papley, overrated. If he really wanted to come to Carlton, he would have made his way. So let's forget about Tom Papley until he comes. Look, Coggy's gone.
Yeah.
Papley's not here yet. So
no, look, I'm excited. I'm
Gibbons.
excited about Gibbons for obvious reasons. Another preseason, natural footballer, best midfielder in the VFL. I actually don't want to see. I know we spoke about him taking the Eddie Betts role earlier. I don't want to see him play as a forward as much as what I want to see him play as a midfielder, because I think that's where he's going to be at his best.
I just think it's hard to get him in the midfield, though, with the midfielders we got. Like, you would say midfield, we've just got thousands of them.
Yep. At that same size. I feel like him and Lockie O'Brien and Dow.
Like, you've got like Cripper and Setterfield who would be able to get, like, if it were 16, Cripper and Setterfield would be the ones you'd send to get drinks because they look the biggest. And then there's just a load of 16-year-old boys. But these two have got facial hair. Like, that's our midfield. We've got loads of the samesies, but we've got no one who's big and grunty. I like Gibbons' forward line. I think he knows where the goals are. His forward pressure wins you matches. And it's impeccable. Him and Jesus, tell you what, not many people get past him.
One thing about him, a lot of players struggle when they go into that forward line when they're not naturally forwards. He was always able to find a way to impact games, and that's generally what the better players are able to do.
One thing I like about him as well is he brings people into the forward line. He looks for that pass inside 50, which few players do. I like him, and I can see his movement changing working alongside Betts. He's starting to use his body a lot better.
Yep. He's not better than Tom Papley, though.
He is. He will be this year.
Well, I hope so, mate. I hope so. Number 41, sponsored by Debbie O'Connor, unofficially, Levi Casbolt. We've just spoken about him. He's become one of the most valuable players for us. Not much more needs to be said about what he can do. Another player who really embodies what it means to be a Carlton player and to do things in the hard way. And he is probably a lesson for all of us in being patient with these key position players. Because I don't believe it was just a purple patch in 2019. I genuinely believe he's turned the corner.
I think something my father-in-law said to me in 2016 that when everyone was getting on Levi's case, he was saying, I think he's in the wrong position. I think he should go down back because his marking is exceptional. And it's weird because, like, you look back at it now, that is one of his strengths. His asset is his ability to take marks in traffic. What is he, top 10 in contested marks in the history of the AFL already? I believe, yeah, since 2000, I think it was, top 10, 9th,
Interesting.
8th, most contested marks.
We'll look that up.
So it was, I mean, not many players can claim to attest to that. So for me, it's something that is vitally important because he plays so many roles and options win you football matches. And for me, he's an able replacement for Jones and Wheater if they get injured. But he's also, look how valuable he is now. McKay and Curnow can't get on the park.
Yep. Setterfield's the other one. We'll quickly get through him. Obviously, we know where we want him to play this year. We know where we want him to elevate his game. And I genuinely believe that he's going to be able to do that this year.
I think it's just one good game away from breaking out. He needs a SPS game where everything goes his way.
Yep.
And I think he'll unlock the potential.
For sure. The last three are Matt Owies, Hugh Goddard, and Matt Cottrell. Any of those guys going to play this year? Cottrell? Where does this come from? Where does this Cottrell energy come from? A lot of people are saying he'll definitely play this year. Look out for him. I know that he's an elite runner. I know that he's in that elite group with Walsh. And
he runs both ways, which is rare. Not many players can do that.
But is he going to come into the side and give us those 12 possession games that we see? That's the problem that I have.
Probably his first game.
You see, this is the
100%.
thing with me. This year, we don't need to have players in the side where you look in that list at the end of the game, you see 3 or 4 guys with 14 touches. I think we're moving away from that.
To quote Nathan, but what 12 touches? He said that about McGovern. It was one of my favourite comments when we were talking about the 25% efficiency. He was like, it was a great first touch there. But no, I think Cotty, what he brings is his ability. He's in dedication. He's very committed. He follows his man well. I could see him, with some injuries. And if we are going to play a condensed season, which is what they're talking about, I can see someone like him being important. I could see Goddard getting a run as well. Should we get an injury down back? Very reliable.
Yep. All right. Well, mate, that's been great. That's 15 players done in 15 or 20 minutes. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, everyone at home, for joining. It's always a pleasure to come here and talk Carlton. We are in the midst of an interesting time for us as footy fans and as people, as Australians and people of the world. And I urge you all to stay safe, stay educated, and stick together. These are the challenging times in our humanity that we're going to look back on it, and hopefully we can go about it the right way and help each other out when needed.
Yeah, just be Australian, really. Just be Australian. Get around each other.
Pretty much. Thanks to Shad. Thanks to Assertive Media. Make sure you check them out. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. And we're going to have plenty more coming your way throughout the season. If it doesn't go ahead the way that we want it to, we'll keep you entertained. And that's that. Go the Blues.
Go Blues.